What's up, everybody? It's your boy Big Poppy JT, and I'm back to you guys with another video. Before I begin, make sure to like the video and subscribe. I upload NFL videos and college football videos daily, so make sure to subscribe so you never miss a video. And today I'm with Jason Harris of the Just Good Network. We're going to be talking about who was the biggest disappointment of this NFL season out of the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Minnesota Vikings. Now, both of these teams had high expectations going into this NFL season. The Minnesota Vikings, everybody thought they were Super Bowl busts. It was no way they could miss the playoffs. They got an upgrade from Kirk Cousins, who was a former Pro Bowler. Got a $84 million guaranteed contract. And then you have the Pittsburgh Steelers even without Le'Veon Bell. At one point, they were looking like one of the best teams in the NFL. Of course, they have Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, Big Ben, great offensive line, and the defense was playing very, very well this year. And both of these teams ended up missing the playoffs. So, with similar records, I believe both of these teams were 8-7-1, and both of these teams not even controlling their own destiny. Both of these teams needed help to get in. The Pittsburgh Steelers needed to win, and the Baltimore Ravens needed to lose, and the Minnesota Vikings controlled their own destiny on the other hand, but lost. So, Jason, I'm going to give it to you. So, who was the biggest disappointment to you, the Minnesota Vikings or the Pittsburgh Steelers? And don't say both. We want to defend an answer.
No. I'm gonna give you some. I'm not gonna say both. I got you, bro. I got you. I'm going with the Vikings. This might not be popular. People like, oh, the Steelers, Mike Tomlin's bad coaching. This, that, and the third. I'm gonna tell you why. Because let me talk about the Steelers first. Going in on the Steelers, they didn't have Le'Veon Bell. They didn't expect this to happen. You're talking about All-Pro. I don't care what team you are. I don't care if you're an offensive lineman, defensive lineman, cornerback. If you lose an All-Pro, especially in this case where he carried the ball over 400 times, he had over 83 catches. He might have led the league in rushing or was in the top 5, whatever. Had a bunch of touchdowns. When you lose a guy like that, don't tell me you're gonna win as many games. Also, Antonio Brown has been a big distraction, has been a horrible teammate. To me, is jealous because Juju Smith-Schuster is only 22 years old and is putting up crazy numbers. I believe he had over 111 catches. When you have a guy like that breathing down your neck and you're acting the way you're acting, it messes up team chemistry. So people say, oh, the Steelers are very, very talented. Defensively, they're not great. They're okay at times, good at certain points of the season, but they weren't great. Now let's get to the Vikings real quick. The defense looked extra disappointing. I remember watching them against the Rams. It's a pathetic effort. Let's talk about other key games that I noticed about them. Okay, the Seattle game Monday night. I actually watched that game at Hooters. I was highly disappointed. Let's talk about the week before that against the Patriots. What did they do? They did nothing. They're not a good road team. And then we see them again twice against the Bears, losing games like that. They didn't beat anybody good. Kirk Cousins looks small in big games. Kirk Cousins, though, let's be real, he just did what he's done in the past, is take advantage of bad teams, lose to good or great teams. And this year, look at the teams they've lost to. Let me summarize everything. Saints, I'm going to say it right now. Lost to the Saints, lost to the Rams. Don't know how the hell they lost to the Bills. The only teams they beat bad teams. They beat the Niners, Eagles when they were bad, Cardinals, Jets. I'm a Jets fan. We suck. The Lions, Packers. No, but they didn't beat any teams that qualified for the playoffs. This was a huge disappointing team. I thought this team would go far. Now, my Super Bowl pick earlier this season, I think I told you too. We did a video of it.
Yeah, we chose Pittsburgh and Minnesota, and it's ironic that neither one of those teams made the playoffs.
Yeah, and my team was, I said Pittsburgh and the Saints. The Saints are going to the Super Bowl. I just want to say that stuff right now. My language. Saints, once I've seen them get home to the Bears, they're going to the Super Bowl. Steelers, they're not. But it was a disappointing year. I'm not going to downplay that at all. It was a disappointing season. But when you don't have an All-Pro in Le'Veon Bell, when you have distractions like Antonio Brown, when your defense, especially in the secondary, it isn't where it should be. This isn't the defense we've seen back in 2005, 2009, 2010. These aren't the great Steeler defense. I'm not saying they're bad, but they're not a great Steeler defense. There's questions of concern. But I do think Mike Tomlin's a hell of a coach. And And I do think the Vikings, they're a little bit more disappointing. Now, will I say pull the trigger on the Vikings, head coaching staff, all that? No. Let's see what they do next year. I know it's Kirk Cousins' new system. I'll give him that. New system. It's just that money that he got attached to, the guaranteed money, is what everybody's looking at. It's like, this is kind of funny. But at the same time, that's just where the trend goes. Every quarterback's going to get $100 million or some big contract here or there. That's just what it is. Now, the Vikings, I just want to see what they do next year. I'm curious to see how well they do, and I'll judge it upon that.
Well, I agree with you, and me being a Steelers fan, I still disagree with your point that with us not having Le'Veon Bell, what this season proved is that Le'Veon Bell didn't make or break our team. What we actually learned this season that the Steelers' offensive line has been highly, highly underrated. And considering from the fact that our offensive line had 2 All-Pros last year and 3 Pro Bowlers that went to the Pro Bowl last year out of our offensive line, and when you look at the running backs, the production that our running backs have had this year, James Conner, was better than Le'Veon Bell in every statistical stat besides securing the ball. But he ran for 100 yards. Our third-string running back, Jalen Samuels, he had 2 100-yard games behind our offensive line. So I think we learned.
You think you guys don't need him?
We don't. I mean, this has been shown this season. The only thing that we would love to have Le'Veon Bell for was how good he was at securing the ball. But other than that, James Conner was better than Le'Veon Bell in every statistic, every single one. And our offensive line, I mean, anytime you have a third-string running back, which was Jalen Samuels was the third-string running back going into this season before the whole Le'Veon Bell incident. Third-string running back had 2 100-yard games against good quality opponents. The New England Patriots, the New Orleans Saints, 2 100-yard games, I believe, or at least 100 yards of scrimmage yards behind our offensive line. So I think that goes to show how underrated our offensive line is and how much credit Le'Veon Bell got. But despite that, me being a Steelers fan, the distractions this has been going on for a long time. But I did not see us missing the playoffs. We were a disappointment, but the question is, who was the biggest disappointment? And it was the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, when you look at the rosters, both of the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Minnesota Vikings had talented rosters, but Minnesota has more stars on defense. And they also have stars on offense. They have Stephon Diggs. Obviously, they have a lot of stars on their offense, like the Pittsburgh Steelers, but they have more stars on defense. Harrison Smith, Xavier Rhodes. Arguably, you can say Xavier Rhodes is a top 5 corner. A lot of people make the argument that Harrison Smith is the best safety in the NFL. Then you have their middle linebacker. I can't remember his name right now. Is it what's the middle linebacker's name? They have so many stars, and I can't even name one player on their linebacking core. But they have a bunch of big names on their defensive line, their linebacking core. They have a bunch of stars, and for them to miss the playoffs is a big, big disappointment. And considering what they did last year with Case Keenum and them not making it to the playoffs this year, and also looking at how vulnerable the division was. I mean, Green Bay has been running that division for the past 7 years, and Green Bay looking vulnerable for the first time in years. I thought, and everybody else thought, that they would be able to take over that division, but obviously with the emergence of the Bears, that changed everything. But that really was no excuse. I mean, they had Green Bay, they had the Detroit Lions. They should have cakewalked into the playoffs. They were better, in my opinion, than every team they faced. They had more talent than every team they faced. So for them to not make it to the playoffs was a huge disappointment. And I'm going to choose them for my biggest disappointment. They are a bigger disappointment than the Pittsburgh Steelers, because the Pittsburgh Steelers, I mean, we beat the teams that we were supposed to. No, we beat the good teams. We beat the Patriots. That was our defining game that we needed to win, and we won that game. So our thing was we lost to the teams that we were supposed to beat. And the Minnesota Vikings, they didn't beat no playoff teams despite the talent that they had. So I'm going to go with the Minnesota Vikings for my biggest disappointment. I'm agreeing with you. Me and you both agree that the Minnesota Vikings were the biggest disappointment. And I'm going to hand it off to you for your final thoughts before I end this video.
My final thoughts is this. I'm not a Steelers fan, but I am a Mike Tomlin fan, and I want to disagree with you. Le'Veon Bell is past the numbers. When you have a guy like him, you have to game plan all around him. We can say the Steelers' offensive line was underrated, which it is. I'm not going to lie. Steelers always have a consistent running game. But let's not act like Le'Veon Bell is one of the top 10 players in this league. That's just real. So that has to be accounted for when we talk about the Steelers.
I agree. I can agree with that. I just feel that despite that, football isn't one player. I know he was an all pro. I know how good he was, but football is not like basketball. It's not like how the Los Angeles Lakers are or the Cleveland Cavaliers are without LeBron. It's a team game, and from a football standpoint, you lose good players, and you got to have good players to step up. And losing Le'Veon Bell, the only loss that Le'Veon Bell would have mattered was the Cleveland Browns. That was a situation where we needed him because he wouldn't have fumbled the ball. Security has been a big problem for James Conner, and if he would have played, we probably would have won those games. So I'm changing my mind. I feel we would have had Le'Veon. We probably would have made the playoffs, but I'm going to agree with you on that. Jason, thanks for coming on. You're a great guest to have on the show. You guys make sure to go check out the Just Good Network and Jason Harris YouTube channel. I'm going to link it down in the description in the comment section down below. Jason, thanks for coming on, and we look to have you on sometime again in the future.
Thank you, man. I just want to say this. You are the future, man. You up next.
Yes, sir. You guys make sure